And now, the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we're here to talk about episode 603, The Family Next Door.
That we are.
Mm-hmm.
They are next door. Okay, how far do you think, because next door isn't always the house immediately adjacent.
I think they are in the house immediately adjacent.
Yes, certainly. How far do you think those houses are apart? Because don't the Marvins have... Don't the Washingtons have animals? The Marvins.
I don't think the Washingtons have animals, no.
No, I'm sorry. I'm confusing them with
Nick's family has...
The Mulligans have.
Mulligans.
The Marvin Mulligans.
So, the episode in question is the first of our series that is both written and directed by Kathy Buchanan. She wrote or co-wrote the previous two, but with John Fornoff directing. So this one is fully her. It came out 2 months after the last episode, though it's off the same album. And I think notably, the 2 episodes after this is when The Chosen One happens with Kelly.
Oh, interesting.
So we got a little precursor.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this era of the show is so strong, and it's unfortunate
Andrew,
that
you're
I have
preaching
such
to the choir.
I know, exactly. I didn't really know what I was missing because I didn't spend that much time with this era, and yeah, no, I think the balance, especially in this episode, and we'll get into it, just what they do with the characters is very interesting and unique to this era of the show.
I mean,
even just the references of other characters and stuff.
Right, it's an episode that really builds off of, hey, we've got a tightly interconnected world right now, and yeah, we get away with no Whit, Connie, Eugene, that trifecta, fully absent in this episode. We don't need
strange.
Them. Well, and we used to get versions of this with the Barkley family. I feel like we get some Barkley family episodes where it's just them, and the Washingtons are very much like this era's Barkleys.
Certainly.
And yeah.
Well, and they also have the benefit of having multiple families, whereas the Barkleys were really just the centerpiece, and they all had friends and stuff like that, but you never really got family to family connection like you do in this era of the show, because
that's
the
fair.
Strasburgs have an arc and the Washingtons have their whole arc, and it's all happening all at the same time. When we get this crossover episode where it's literally just crossing next door, it feels very special and unique. So that was why I'm oh, okay, so this is the best era of the show. They're it's all good. The writing is good, the actors are good, the production is good.
It pays off nicely. Speaking of actors, the only new people in this episode who we haven't talked about before, we've got Pastor Brown and Mr. Green, both being voiced by Spencer Binford, who was in 2 other episodes of Adventures in Odyssey, and that is it.
Who was he playing in?
Nobody of note. Just these sorts of characters. And it's episodes that we haven't covered, so you won't know. but yeah, he's he does a good job as Pastor Brown. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and Mr. Green is the boss, so he has one line.
Yep. Yeah. It's classic. Hey, can we pull a guy in for an episode? But yeah, it works.
Would you like to roll the promo, Dylan?
Yeah, I guess so. I was I don't think I have anything else off the top.
I need to get into how poorly I spelled Nietzsche compared to its actual spelling.
We don't know that that's its actual spelling, for what it's worth. Also,
fair.
Is something whistling in your room?
No, those are birds outside my window.
Oh, well then.
Yeah, no, I can't.
No. Let the birds go, Andrew.
It's a nice day, and my dad put a birdhouse right outside my door, and I think somebody might be moving in.
No, that's totally fine. You're good. I was just confused.
I mean, I'm surprised too. It's December or January, I guess now.
Yes, that it is. All right,
2022. Ugh.
On the next Adventures in Odyssey, Mandy looks to the Washingtons as a replacement family.
Do this, do that. This was supposed to be a fun family cleaning day, not four Cinderellas with stepmother Mandy.
Sounds like Mandy is getting on Tamika's nerves.
Well, I'm sorry, but to be honest, I'm tired of it.
No, it's not a reality show. It's the next Adventures in Odyssey.
No, it's not a reality show. It's the next episode of Adventures in Odyssey.
That is so unfortunate. Is that like a dig at Kathy? I don't know. That felt very passive aggressive.
I don't get it. Are they saying like relationship drama only exists in
reality
TV?
I would argue that this is the most grounded.
Right. Like, yes, there's some passive aggression, which is maybe reality TV-y, but yeah, it's a weird dig in the promo. Yeah. Don't get it, not take. A fan.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not a fan. I mean, like, a fan, but also, like, this episode starts with sad Mandy, and it just makes me sad.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. It does not start gracefully. It basically opens up on Mandy, a one-sided telephone call with Mandy and her, I guess, Mrs. Nietzsche.
Nope, it's with Liz.
Oh! Yes, it is with Liz talking about
right, they couldn't afford Liz.
No.
So we just hear, like, Charlie Brown noises on the other end of the phone.
Yeah.
It's more honestly... It's just like muffled real word. My money is that it's Kathy Buchanan.
I would love for that to be the case. And Kathy, if you are listening and you know, please tell me. Please email us.
wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. We got it. Nobody beat us to that one, guys.
Heck yeah.
I had to fight for it tooth and nail.
It's a unique domain name. Squarespace ain't got nothing on this. Just a string of capital letters that kind of form a cohesive idea.
Hey, you're listening to the podcast. You get what it means.
Oh, certainly. And honestly, it's so algorithm positive. You can't miss it. If you just search WAD, that's what you get. On any podcast platform.
Oh, okay. On a podcast platform. I was going to say, I don't think I can vouch for this, but maybe on a podcast platform.
No, yeah. Unlike Spotify and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, if you're already subscribed, it'll know that and bring it up first. But just in general, it's very search engine friendly.
Yes, it is. I'm proud of the name too, Andrew. Let's move on.
Yes. So Mandy's on the phone with Liz. She lost her role in the play because she was out of it and wasn't memorizing her lines, which is really unfortunate. Like, I don't know. I feel like Mrs. Nietzsche definitely could have given more grace towards Mandy in this situation.
Yeah. It's tough no matter how you cut it, because we've seen Mandy's lack of. I think part of the problem is going off the past two episodes. We see Mandy doesn't have motivation or really want to do anything. Like, classic depression is what's been set up in the previous two episodes. Then in this episode, she kind of gets past that and starts, fixating unhealthily in a different way. And also healthily. But mixed bag for what Mandy's doing here. But yeah, I mean, she gets all the grace in the world. She's a child going through a hard thing. But she's not, I guess we saw her not care about anything for 2 episodes. So her losing the part in the play makes sense.
Certainly.
Because you can easily picture that. But then for the rest of the episode, she does have energy and care about things.
Which makes it even harder.
Right, and so then you're like, oh man, I wish she had a second chance. Like, I wish she had that still.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, no. And like you said, it's just a really tough way to start the episode, but it's good. Like, Mandy's performance, or Arya Curzon, is so emotional. And, like, it's something that really only this amount of time in the universe with a single character you can convey that much, just in the way that you inflect your voice. And obviously because I've heard so many hours of, her voice talking and saying different lines, you can pick up on that better. But it's a tremendous performance, and it makes it all the more convicting.
No, she does a great job.
And then we cut to the Washington parents.
I would say, so we get Rachel coming home.
Oh, yes.
Real quick. Or she's maybe not getting home. I think Mandy gets home from school, is on the phone with Liz. Then her mom is leaving for work. So she works from, when Mandy gets home. So probably from 3 to 9 or whatever. Some sort of late shift at a diner. And is rushing out to work, and they just have this little interaction, and Mandy starts to bring up the whole thing about the play, but then her mom is gets caught up in all the mail and these overdue notices and stuff that she's got to take by Steven's apartment, and so it's all this stuff, and
Mandy doesn't want to tell her, obviously. She seems overwhelmed. Right. It's the classic, I don't want to burden my parent with my problems thing.
Yep, for sure. And then, and so she dashes out, says she'll be home around 9. And then, Mandy goes outside because she was asked to take the trash out. She takes the trash out and finds the Washingtons taking their big bag of fertilizer for a walk.
Yeah. Goodness. Ed is so funny in this episode.
Yeah.
He has so many jokes that just make me laugh. Yep. He's taking a fertilizer for a walk. He's making jokes about his Adonis physique and all of that. And just the riffing between them is hilarious.
Yeah.
And, later, there's a background conversation at the bowling alley that is absolutely just a bit that should be given the full light for all of its glory, because it made me laugh, and I had to re-listen to the scene because I got distracted.
I love when Odyssey weaves stuff into the background. Always.
Yeah.
Always
and Ed's it's the goofy dad thing that I just love so much.
Yep. He's good goofy dad. That's his shtick, and it works.
I think he's better than Pastor Barkley.
Well, yeah, I mean, George's thing isn't really goofy dad.
No.
His thing is kind of overprotective dad.
Yes.
Or stereotypical.
Very concerned dad.
Right. Ed is the dad from every, TV commercial.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe, yeah.
Or that bit in Crashing where Pete Holmes is talking about being the fun uncle at the barbecue or whatever, and he
exactly
tosses a Fresca behind his back and he mimes
that's
it.
Exactly
that's Ed's energy.
That's Ed's energy. He's got Fresca energy.
Yeah,
100%.
You want a reference for just me and Andrew? There you go, guys.
There it is. Well, I'll plug watching Crashing on HBO.
Oh,
Max.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hilarious.
I will always plug Crashing. It's
We'll not plug his podcast, though.
One of my... You know what? There are good episodes of You Made It Weird. It's just, it gets old.
Actually, I like it because he he's better with his wife. I like his episodes with his wife more than his guest episodes.
Interesting. I haven't heard any of those. I just listened to him talk to comedians I like.
So yeah, I think the normal. Anyway, it's worth listening to. Oh, so they obviously Ed's carrying fertilizer, and they start talking with Mandy about gardening. They have a garden. Mandy used to garden with her dad all the time. Yeah. They're talking about roses.
Yeah.
Is that what their roses aren't getting enough sunlight, and Mandy knows that roses need 6 hours of sunlight, and there's this whole thing. It's really cute.
Yeah.
They connect. Mandy gets excited. We get to kind of hear what we get to hear some joy in her voice, which we haven't heard, especially in the previous scene. And then the Washingtons invite her to help out in their garden.
Yep.
And
also for dinner.
And for dinner, yes, for the secret burger sauce.
Right. Which I had in my notes. I was like, Ed's secret burger sauce. It's either going to be like A1 or Thousand Island, right?
Yeah. No, I was guessing okay, Thousand Island is just ketchup and mayo, yes?
What? No, get out of here. That's mayo chup, and mayo chup shouldn't exist. No, Thousand Island's just good.
Thousand Island's just good.
Now you have me Googling what Thousand Island dressing is? I don't want to know.
What's it made of? What's the dressing that's basically just ketchup and mayonnaise?
Thousand Island is...
Mayo chup is an abomination.
Yeah, okay, look. Yeah, mayo chup is an abomination. Thousand Island dressing, basically just ketchup and mayo.
I was right!
You're ruining this for me.
I'm sure there's other stuff in there.
Yeah, it also has olive oil, lemon juice, orange juice, paprika, Worcestershire sauce, mustard, vinegar.
That Worcestershire is doing a lot of work.
Plenty of stuff in it, but yeah, it is really...
Mostly just ketchup and mayonnaise.
Wow.
Which would be great on a burger.
I know, I hate mayo. Why do I like Thousand Island?
Because mayo as a concept is not inherently flawed. It's just been abused in the culture we grew up in.
You make a good point.
I think that mayo is good, but it's not the best sandwich lube, and it's not the only sandwich lube. And I think exploring other options is important.
Yeah. So Thousand Island. It could have been Thousand Island, but no. Instead, it is ketchup with a ton of chili powder.
Yeah,
which sounds
that's really miserable.
So bad.
It sounds crunchy.
What?
I don't know. I'm just imagining the sauce having some toothsome bits. I mean, I guess chili powder.
No, chili powder, not like dried chilies.
Not like chili flakes.
Right.
Actually, if you crushed up chili flakes into a paste or something like that, that could be even better.
Crushed up chili flakes, I think you just get a chili powder.
No, I was thinking like chilies. Fire roast some chilies, blacken the skin, crush it up into some ketchup, smear that on a burger. That would be good.
I'm just... The thing that bothers me is I do not like spicy stuff. And so if I got served a burger that had chili powder on it, I would be so upset.
Oh, certainly. That's fair.
Then it was, a non-optional part of it that I didn't know going in. No, thank you.
No, that's... Being surprise attacked with spice is not fun for anyone.
No. But they have fun banter about it being used as nail polish remover and,
adhesive.
Yep. But
and then Marvin's super excited because he got his first facial hair. I don't remember getting my first facial hair.
Neither do I. I remember getting other body hair, not facial hair.
Yeah, that was about it. So that was interesting, cute bit. And then Tamika brings up the fact that she memorized her 99th verse.
Yep.
And she has one more to get to 100. Mandy brings up the fact that she did 150 because she's older, which
is
obviously
she?
I don't.
This really bothered me because canonically, Tamika is older than Mandy. Yes. Mandy is the same age as Trent, And Trent's the same age as Marvin.
Yes.
So I don't understand. Did Tamika get held back in Sunday school?
Maybe the youth pastor was just taking it easy. I mean, Mr. Whitaker, I guess.
There's something so absurd about her going like, oh, it was 150 when I went through. Why? It would, like, I would buy this more if it was 100 when she went through and now is 50. The fact that it used to be 150, I'm like, who starts at 150?
That's a lot of Bible verses.
It's just,
and
it's not like,
presumably Mandy memorized it when she was like 10.
Sure, but it's not a catchy number.
No.
So it's like,
I mean,
having Tamika memorize 100 is great, but then like I did 150, and I understand the point it serves in the plot. I'm just like, why couldn't we have made this Tamika doing her 50th and Mandy doing her 100th? Or I don't know. It's weird, but but yeah, Mandy's like, oh, back in my day, it used to be 150, but 100 is still really impressive.
Yeah, and you can tell that Mandy, like, I don't think she was trying.
No, Mandy is genuine here.
Yeah, she wasn't like trying to, but Tamika gets very upset about it. Which I can understand why she would.
Yeah. Tamika's not having the easiest time at the moment.
No, and especially in this, like, towards the beginning of the episode, when you don't see it come to the surface, at least upon re-examination, you can really see how they kind of layer in the instances of conflict that lead to the culmination, which I think is so good. It shows like character development and character progression.
It helps Tamika to not seem terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Because by the time it gets to it, you're not annoyed with Mandy, but you get it. From Tamika's perspective, like they seeded in well.
Oh yeah, no, well, and I think that's somebody, like, I think that's one of the kind of people-oriented perspectives of, like, if you listen to people talk about the relationships they have for a long time, you pick up on stuff like that. And I would not be surprised if the 150 to 100 was something that Kathy Buchanan had heard, a parody of or something in counseling school.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Everything's about counseling, Dylan. Didn't you know that?
Everything's about counseling school, because that's what Andrew did, and he's the center of the universe.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's why I'm so hot. Like, physically, my body is just producing so much heat because
it's the reason you're not wearing a shirt right now.
Yeah, I'm wearing a shirt. I'm wearing a wife beater. Thank you very much.
All right.
My nipples are covered.
Oh, well then you're modest. Well done.
I guess, exactly. I'm not in that dress.
That dress? Yeah. So
we need to talk about Wits End having pizza.
Yeah, we do need to talk about that. I also have a note there.
Yeah.
But first, Mandy volunteers to help clean out the garage because she likes organizing, and boy, did I feel attacked.
Yeah. Oh no, and she has a label gun.
This is
and
such then strong me energy.
She's got the label gun, and then in the scene when she tells them to organize it based on frequency of use, I felt very attacked.
I'm that psychotic guy who likes helping his friends move.
That. No, I'm not that. I'm more lazy than I am that.
Nope.
So good for you.
Also, they start their chores like the this whole like cleaning out the garage at 9 a.m., which is so far from my experience. Never once in my life did we start work outside after 7.
Interesting. I would say that the work that we do outside never starts before 11.
Nope. This is my family.
Yes, this is
my parents. wake up early. My dad cannot sleep in past 6. So,
wow.
Growing up, work starts at 7 on Saturdays, always.
Wow. My dad, for the majority of my life, I would get up before him, and because he would sleep till like 9 or 10 on Saturdays.
Yeah. We live different
lives. But we
lives.
don't own a farm.
I mean, my parents didn't always have a farm. So.
True.
Also the animal.
Yeah.
Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah. So yeah, I was just trying to establish in my mind what time it is, and I'm like, all right, it's still light out when it's late, and there's a grill, but there's also homework. So we're talking like this is happening like May.
Yeah, or maybe September. One or the other.
See, my money is on spring because they are planting stuff.
True. They are planting, and also there is a production soon, which if it was the beginning of the school year, there wouldn't be a production.
So yes, maybe April, maybe.
I like this. All right. So Wits End sells pizza in May. That's the logic puzzle from today's episode.
What? Oh, there's a really great moment between Mandy and Elaine. With her
leaving.
Yeah, when she's leaving and she's just like, hey, this meant a lot to me. I don't see a lot of my family ever anymore, and it's really weird when I do. And Elaine just being like, good mom.
Such a good mom. She says, like, that sounds really hard. That must be really hard for you. Validating, but also, like, congratulating her. Yeah, no. It's a really good mom moment.
Oh, yeah, and Mandy tells her about the play and not getting the part, or, like, getting booted from the part. And Elaine's just like, oh, just because you're not in this one play doesn't mean you're not a great actor, but that's really hard. And yeah. Great.
I love the secondary paternal figures of, like, friends' parents. I don't know. They've always been very, like, significant in my life. Like, and maybe it was just because I grew up most of my friends being family friends, and so their parents felt a lot more like my parents than perhaps they otherwise would. But, these connections where it's, Mrs. Washington seeing Mandy in her struggle and recognizing that that's a real thing, but not bearing the weight of it because it's not her own child. And so she's just able to show up and be perfect for Mandy in this moment. It just feels great and, like, reminds me of good feelings that I've had.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. And then we hear Rachel getting off the phone with Mrs. Nichu as Mandy walks in. And she's like, oh, I got off early. Do you have a nice time at the Washingtons, whatever? And then, hey, any news about the play? And Mandy's like, no news. Goes to bed.
I was surprised that the mom didn't confront Mandy because she knew about it, but I guess if she's older, it would make sense that she would wait and give it time.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, the part of this whole episode is Rachel struggling to be a parent under these new circumstances and with how to, like, when to be a parent versus a friend. And, like, I get the impression that she's having a hard time navigating this, which then makes it more understandable that she doesn't push Mandy harder here. Because she's had a long day and hasn't seen a lot of her daughter and probably doesn't want the only thing that happens between her and her daughter to be, like, an actual confrontation.
Yeah, no. And it makes perfect sense, especially at the end of the day. Like, and she's older. Like, and it's not, she wasn't, caught hitting Henny. She just lost her lead spot in the play because of other things.
And I imagine Rachel feels a level of guilt about Mandy losing the play, like the play spot as well. like not having that role in the play as a result of extenuating circumstances, i.e. her divorce.
Yeah.
Like, cannot be fun for Mandy.
And then we cut to the Washington's garage cleaning at 9 a.m., which is apparently weird for Dylan.
So late.
The sound engineering for the garage is incredible.
Yeah.
I must say.
It just sounds like a garage.
It just, I'm sure the Foley work, they just recorded it in a garage or whatever, but they did a great job. The spatial audio and everything, like, you can totally picture it. It's a standalone structure. It's not on the house, right? That's it's my thought. No, it sounds great. And they're all just kind of riffing on each other, doing the Washington family thing where they're making jokes and everything.
Yeah. I am so happy that Ed has a bear costume.
Yes.
It just brings all the joy to me.
Yeah. Is that explained? Is that
No.
a previous thing?
I don't think so. I think he's just like,
it's just a bit.
He's just got a bear costume. And I'm like, yeah, you do have a bear costume, Ed. I believe that.
You wear that bear costume, Ed, only when you want to. Or perhaps when you need to.
Super bear.
Super bear.
And Tamika's
what kind
like,
of bear
hey,
do you think it is?
Let's brown bear.
Yeah, I'm thinking brown bear.
There's conversation then about organization, and Tamika's like, oh, we should do stuff alphabetically. And then Mandy's like, well, actually, what if we use it by frequency of use? And I'm like, yes, you are correct, Mandy. Good job. But also, poor Tamika. And then Mandy immediately has to go.
Yep. Mandy's got to go to a study group. To which made me think, so she's spending her spare time cleaning before she goes to study group. Like, what does she do that brings joy? Like,
yeah, cleaning.
It seems like she doesn't have many hobbies or anything like that.
The organization.
We don't see her playing. Fair.
Yeah, I mean, like, the play was a big thing for her, but also this feels incredibly relatable. I feel like
Oh, yeah.
Like,
cleaning
it's Mandy.
with friends.
Like, yeah, but, like, I imagine her hobbies are just, like, she reads a book on her own, she hangs out with Liz and goes to Wits End, or she's doing homework.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, that checks out. It was a different time.
Yeah. Crushing on Trent from afar, all the good stuff.
Yes. Oh, yes. Subtly. I wonder what her diaries would say.
Someday we'll cover the 3 main text for the Trent and Mandy stuff that was so important to me.
I have very little memory of that. I would love to cover that at some point with you.
Yeah. I care too much.
We've talked about it. I thought that it was too much until I started listening to this arc, and I was like, no, this is the best era of the show, and I
just like the Trent and Mandy stuff specifically. It's like I, as a child, was very, very into romance, but did not feel like I was allowed to be because I was a boy. But then, so it was like Odyssey romance episodes. Your Connie and Mitch's, your Trent and Mandy's. Like your freaking
even
Jason and Tasha. Like I was so into it. Eugene and Katrina,
the Jack and Joanne
like
throwback.
There's great stuff throughout the
Triangled
show,
web.
and I was just like, oh, this becomes very, very important to me because it's socially acceptable for me to like this, or at least to listen. Because I'm just like, oh, I've got to listen through this whole album, and man, that episode's on, but I just got to keep flipping the tape.
Yeah, no, honestly, and these were great. Yeah, I definitely relate to that though. As far as not, like, I liked some of the action ones, but the ones that I really went back to were the ones that made me laugh and had, like, compelling romance stuff to it. Like, or the major arcs that we've covered, like the Nova Comps or whatever. But those have the relationships weaved into it.
Yeah, they do. I definitely liked the spy adventure stuff But also, when the show was just Gilmore Girls, I was very into that as well.
Yes. When was that? Is that this? No.
No. I mean,
it feels a little bit.
Yeah,
this
it's not
so.
that far. Like, I don't know. Gilmore Girls is just like, hey, we've got interpersonal relationships, and that's the whole show. There's never a plot. We don't care about that.
Yeah, we don't need an overarching thing.
Yeah.
So
the
Tamika's upset and about Mandy.
Yeah.
And you can tell it in the garage scene. She definitely kind of shows a bit more of her cards there, but then it comes to its head later.
Yeah. And our next scene is the Washington family meeting, where Tamika's called a family meeting, and you're like, oh, this is where stuff's going to come to a head. And then it doesn't. It's just Marvin talks about shaving with whipped cream and a razor that has no blade, and Tamika's like, "Oh, I memorized my 100th verse," which is thematically appropriate.
Hey,
but it was just one of those moments where I was like, "Wow, it is so rare that that a character in universe speaks Bible on this show."
Yes. Oh, yeah. Reads Bible verses to the camera, essentially.
And as someone who is memorizing a bunch of stuff recently because of a group I'm a part of, I'm like, it is very hard and somewhat fulfilling, but mostly just hard. And so, props to Tamika for 100 verses. I'm currently at 8 and I'm dying.
Do you know, do you have to retain all 100, or is it just you have to?
So we're
memorize.
We're memorizing entire chapters.
Oh.
So I'm 8 verses in to Romans 8. But
that's not a short chapter to memorize.
No, it's not. And that's with my group that meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Wow. Yeah, so what I wanted to say about the previous scene was that Tamika brings this up and she sounds aggressive, which makes me think that she did go into that family meeting with the intent of expressing her displeasure with Mandy and all of that. And because it got sidetracked by Marvin and everything like that, very much middle child thing to do. Or is Tamika's the oldest?
No, Tamika's the middle child.
Oh, Tamika's middle child.
Antoine's the older sibling who we hear twice.
Yeah.
So,
she would classically take a step back from the center of attention if somebody asserts themselves in, because that's kind of how family dynamics work.
Yeah, but she definitely called the meeting to be like, hey, I memorized my 100th verse.
Oh, yes, 100%.
So, yeah, I'm not sure that I buy that she was going to go off about Mandy at the meeting. Maybe. But
I don't know. It just seemed like it got away from her faster than perhaps she wanted it to.
Yeah.
As far as the amount of attention she had.
No, that's fair.
So,
yeah.
What you would do with that attention, I don't know.
Right. So they go to celebrate at Wits End. They go and get a deep dish pizza.
Yep.
And I am glad that this stood out to you to the same degree that it stood out to me, because I was thrown.
Yeah, I am absolutely just baffled, bewildered. The wool has been pulled over my eyes. Every analogy could be made. 1, why deep dish? 2,
it's interesting.
Why Wits End?
Right. There's got to be better pizza. 2, yeah, it's at Wits End so that Mandy has an excuse to see it. But it's dinner so that they can have carrot cake
But
after.
Since when is Wits End sold dinner?
But yes, this is a weird
it's an
choice.
Ice cream shop.
Yes. I think that they could have gone somewhere else and then and then gone to Wits End afterwards.
Yeah,
for
that
ice
was my
cream
thought.
Or whatever. It's just making Wits End the place where you get deep dish pizza and carrot cake felt very, very concerning to me.
Well, and I was willing to accept that they made cookies and that they branched out into other desserts, because obviously, you can't just do only ice cream. I mean, you could, but I'm not against that. But going as far as to have a menu of pizzas.
Right.
Okay. Interesting take.
Yeah, well, and it's funny too. There's an episode where Joanne complains about the fact that she can't get, like, that one of the things she really misses from being in Chicago is the deep dish pizza. And I was like, so did this happen, like, canonically, where you had
Joanne talked to Whit about how much she missed pizza, and then Whit was like, I'll sell that pizza at my shop because I can make it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Whit's End sells good deep dish pizza.
No, not a chance.
If Whit learned it to please his friend who is from Chicago or has deep ties to authentic Chicago pizza, it could be good.
Yeah. So looking at the official wiki page on this, the only other thing that they have that is in the same league, they supposedly have cheeseburgers as well. But even then, pizza feels like a bigger step.
Yeah, no, there's a lot more going into a pizza. Like, you could tell me that they served burgers at Whit's End, and I'd be like, oh yeah, Whit brought his grill in, it was a weekend, whatever.
Right. It doesn't seem normal, but like, sure, sliders, I kind of buy it.
They've got a flat grill, like, sure, whatever. Yep, you can make that happen.
But yeah,
pizza
everything
requires
else
an oven.
Everything else is drinks or dessert. All of which makes sense.
Because it's an ice cream shop.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's on brand for this podcast to be really mad about the...
Well, this is the problem.
Really
I want the
pizza
bad now. Like, I know it's not going to be good pizza, but I do want to eat the weird one-off only time pizza was mentioned in relation to Whit's End.
Sure.
Like, I need to know more.
Sure. The other thing I would like to point out is that the wiki lists under soda flavors Coca-Cola, which I'm like, did they name drop Coca-Cola in Whit's End at some point? Because that's an interesting thing I want to talk about as well.
That must have been pre-copyright. No, like trademark. Like what? How could they do that?
Oh, I mean, like they talk about monopoly in this.
True.
Like you can do that. You don't have to. Like you don't have to have an endorsement from the company to mention them by name. You just usually do.
Fair.
But yeah.
So the Washingtons are there.
Well, maybe for one of our bonus episodes or something, we'll do some sort of Whit's End food deep dive.
Ooh, that would be great.
Because
we can have like we could have a multi-course meal. We could do like the salads from Do or Diet, and then the deep dish pizza, and then one of the desserts, and then drinks, and then perhaps a Whit's End inspired cocktail.
Ooh.
Right?
Now I'm like, I gotta figure out how to make an alcoholic Wad Fam Chocksod.
Oh, that
seems
you
so
can
doable.
do. Yeah.
Subscribe to the bonus show now, wherever you subscribe to bonus shows. And by that I mean click the link in the description, guys.
Please and thank you.
For $3 a month, you get 2 extra episodes of this show. Doing weird other stuff. That's not
weird other
what
stuff
we do
that's
now,
honestly more fun.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you know what? You give us $3 and you be the judge of that, folks.
Exactly. That's a very good plan of action, Dylan. I agree. I think that they need to try it first, in the immortal words of that recent Coca-Cola ad.
Yeah. But yeah. So Mandy walks past the Washingtons eating their deep dish pizza at Whit's End, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we've got a letter for you, along with Bart's toupee catalog." Funny joke.
Yeah. That made me laugh, and then there was a conversation about Wooten getting distracted on his route, which was when I was like, this is this is Gilmore Girls.
Oh, it's like the delightfulness of like, hey, we've got a shared universe and all these people who are like well established with their quirks that we can just like name drop them and not have to do anything beyond that. Yeah. It's delightful.
It was a Babette ate oatmeal,
Babette ate oatmeal. It's true.
Yeah.
So the letter is the competition that we heard earlier that Mandy had entered. It's a writing competition, and she opens, or actually Ed opens the letter for her because she's too scared, and she won the regional competition. So she's going to States
for the writing competition, and they all get so excited for her.
Yeah,
it feels great. I mean. Yep. And it's funny because then they push her to kind of like tell her mom because they're so excited for her. They're like, oh my gosh, you must want to tell your mom. And she's like, oh, my mom's at work right now. She's busy. I'll probably just tell her tomorrow. And they're like, what? You're going to wait till tomorrow to tell her? Like, this is huge news. She's like, yeah, but she works tonight and she won't get home till later. So it's a sweet moment because it kind of drags the character of Mandy back to reality a little bit because of the way that she's been kind of using the Washingtons as a form of like escaping her home.
For sure. She's living like vicariously through their healthy family dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Which is like totally a thing. It happens.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But that being said, I've been the family that the people live with, so like I totally resonate with Tamika this episode, which is why I think it's so good.
Yeah, that's a cool dynamic to have. But yeah, so Mandy gets invited to join them for dinner and then also eat carrot cake with them. Meanwhile, Rachel gets a call at work from someone saying like that Mandy won the competition, and she gets really excited, and she knows, or she doesn't think Mandy knows yet. And so she asks her boss, Mr. Green, to take off work. And he's like every boss, a jerk who then caves in. Every boss is either a jerk who caves in or a jerk who issues an ultimatum, and there's no other kind.
Nope. No, they are not people, actually. They are just solely souls of authority.
But she does get to go, and she grabs an ice cream cake and goes home to surprise Mandy. Meanwhile,
her favorite.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Marvin suggests that they go bowling, and Tamika's like, "Oh yeah, that would be a great thing to do with just the family." And Ed's like, "Hey Mandy, why don't you come?"
Yep. Miserable. Absolutely brutal. Just bodied by her own father.
She's going to explode.
Yeah. So they're... But...
Oh, just my favorite moment when they're at the bowling alley is Marvin starts cheering because he gets a gutter ball the next lane over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it's very, very impressive. I've never been so successful at bowling. I couldn't dream to be, honestly. And then Mandy bowls and gets, like, a very slow strike.
Yes.
It takes its sweet old time getting down the lane. Yeah. But
and Ed's like, "Oh, look, you're doing even better than Tamika.
She's
Tamika. Normally great at this."
Yeah, she always wins. Yeah. And just you can see the smoke coming out of Tamika's ears. And Rachel calls up Mrs. Washington and talks to her on the phone. Rachel.
Oh, wait. No. I'm dumb. No, you're right.
Yeah, because Rachel gets home from work. Yes, Mandy's not there. She calls Liz.
Yep.
She's not there, so she calls the Washingtons. And it's one, excellent audio engineering because you hear all the noises from the bowling alley in the background.
Yeah,
and Washington sounds great.
And they do the classic Odyssey cut through the phone, which is my favorite.
Oh, yeah. And then, and you get the background conversations.
Yeah, and Rachel's just like, I just feel so bad for her.
Yeah, Rachel's upset because she doesn't really know what to do.
Right, her daughter's
and she knows that the Washingtons are happy.
And yeah.
it sucks to know that you can't really provide that right now for your kid.
Yeah.
That's
and also like
very real.
she went out of her way to get off work and to make something special happen, and then doesn't get to see it through.
On a much lighter note, there's a background conversation about Ed's war wound that inhibits his bowling ability that goes on for quite some time, and that was why I had to re-listen to it.
Oh yeah. What, the bits that he only has 13 points because he's got his thumbs, injured from an old war wound. That's not.
And
a word
what was
you
the
can say.
war? Oh, it was the war over the remote with Marvin last week. Yeah. I know. It was funny, made me laugh. Just love Goofy Dad.
Yep.
Toss a fresca in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
And then Tamika comes up and just lets Mandy have it.
Yeah, she goes full passive aggression here in a way that's really frustrating, where she's just like, man, like, it's sometimes so nice to just be with your family instead of you being here, Mandy. Get out of here. And it's tough too, because like I feel so much for Tamika. Like, she is
100%.
She is like, because the only scenes we see this episode are ones where Mandy shows up.
Yes, 100%.
Like, that is the entirety of her dynamic with her family this episode, is Mandy's always there and always like one-upping her accidentally. And so it's like, and the thing that's revealed the next scene is that Tamika doesn't even know about Mandy's family situation.
Yeah. I don't know why the parents wouldn't have said anything.
I'm just like, man, it is... I wish, honestly, more than I wish Tamika didn't blow up here, I wish that Ed and Elaine had just been on top of this and, one, sensed Tamika's frustration before she exploded on Mandy, and two, like, had the mind to fill her in.
Yeah, well, and that is the thing. And I will say, in my experience, my parents were very good about kind of letting me know that the reason people would spend time with us for an extended period of time was because they didn't have that at home. Which I think did help, but it doesn't negate the comparison or necessarily just the unforeseen consequences personally and collectively of just inviting somebody else in from the outside to your family dynamic.
Yeah.
I definitely agree though. I was surprised that they didn't know, and I was surprised still that the Washingtons didn't say anything until the end.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the kind of complete, like, 180 that Tamika goes after finding out that information. She is...
Yes, 100%.
So, like, oh man. And then, right, she gets called up to the front of the church to recite the 100th verse, which is, the one that we heard her do earlier from Galatians, chapter 6, verse 2. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ.
Yep. That's just a real gut punch.
Yeah, and it's a really, really good, like, it's a really good performance from Courtney Brown, too, of her, like, on stage saying it and realizing it, and, and the...
Yeah, exactly.
The pastor just like calling it, being like, that's a good one to read, or like
that's a good one to memorize, and it's a great verse to keep with you.
Yep.
And also the audio engineering for the church service was stupendous. The organs and everything was awesome. I was like, whoa, I am good. There.
It reminds me of how rare it is that we are in a church in Odyssey.
Like during a service.
Yeah. And I don't know, I forgot to write it down, but I just have a note in here that like one of the pastor makes like a very like pastor joke kind of joke, and I just love that because it's like, oh yes, every pastor makes the same style joke, and it's funny. Like,
the joke
it's funny
was,
that the show's calling it out. It's not.
Yes.
Like, the jokes the pastor makes, not funny. But the show being aware of that is great.
Well, he did the classic pastor thing of, well, if you recite all the Bible verses you memorized, I won't have time to speak.
Yes.
Which is just that's a
we'll
tale as old as time.
Right. We'll have you recite the most recent one, not all 100. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any time to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or otherwise we would be here all day. Or,
right. Yeah,
any of the million different iterations of that.
Just the joke pastors make is always, you don't actually want to hear me talk for an hour.
Yeah. No, it's special. The kind of low bar comedy in church services is something worth being explored, honestly.
Yeah. Yep. And then that'll
be on our sister podcast.
We just listen to audio versions of churches and just make supercuts of bad pastor jokes that land but shouldn't.
Dylan, don't talk me into this any more than you already have.
Look, we'll do 2 episodes, in the same month, and then 3 months later put out another one, and then record a 4th and never actually release it because we lost the audio, and then we'll just forget about the podcast.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
I'll put a link to My Scrubs soundtrack in the bio.
Hey man, hey now, you're a rock star. Get your game on. Go play.
Actually, the All-Stars go play. The rock stars get paid, as the song goes.
Right.
And all that glitters is gold. But only shooting stars break the mold.
And that's going to be it for today's episode of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Look,
I'm Andrew Sabo.
I could recite the entirety of that song because I know it very well, and I can swivel my head and see the CD sitting on my shelf.
How does that make you feel, Dylan?
Very, very good. It's the Shrek 1 soundtrack.
It's incredible.
Not.
I would get that on vinyl if I could. If I ever saw it on vinyl, I would buy it as long as it cost less than $100.
That'd be a good pickup. I agree. Oh man. So
almost as good as the Soul soundtrack.
So we can't go out here now.
No, certainly not.
Because the best scene is about to happen. Well, first off, Tamika tracks down Mandy and apologizes, which is good, and she's sincere, and I like it.
Yes,
but
and Mandy seems kind of phased still.
Yes.
But what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, but more important, we have the final scene between. Well, I guess the penultimate scene between Rachel and Mandy. Which is fantastic.
Incredible.
There is nothing that Odyssey does better than parent-kid exchanges.
Yeah.
McCusker Mysteries are number 2, but parent-kid exchanges take the cake. The ice cream cake.
Aha! Double chocolate.
Definitely not the carrot cake.
No. Yeah, that was so funny when she mentions in the scene that she hates carrot cake.
Yeah.
And her comment earlier was, it's the best I've ever had.
Yes.
I was like, I've been there.
Yeah. And she also doesn't
this is the best clam chowder I've ever had.
You take that word out of your mouth, Andrew.
I like clam chowder now.
Oh, okay. Wow. Good.
But when I was younger, it was something that I only ate because I was at a friend's house and I didn't feel comfortable saying no.
Which is the right call.
Yes, of course. No, and I'm glad
unless
I did,
it's going
now I like clam chowder.
Unless it's going to poison you.
Yeah.
Don't turn down food at a friend's house.
Exactly. I mean, that's always been how I've lived my life.
Yeah, I think that's the correct call.
Mm-hmm.
I
think not being a picky eater. I don't know. I think I might have more fun.
Yeah.
It's like the blondes of culinary world.
Right. You don't want to pull a Lindsay and intentionally give yourself an allergic reaction, to be polite and then shoot yourself with a booster. But
don't worry. I'm just gonna I love these banana pancakes.
Peanut butter pancakes.
Oh, peanut butter pancakes.
Yep.
Peanut butter pancakes.
So bad. But yeah, the
Terrible episode.
but we had a fun time covering it because
That we did.
Arthur is a nice person as a guest.
Yeah.
I like that guy a lot.
Big fan.
So yeah,
Check out his podcast.
trusting the God of the gospel. Anyways,
Amen.
Yeah, so it's just this good exchange. Mandy finds the ice cream cake in the freezer and is like,
Knows
what?
that it's his favorite.
Yeah, and is like, what's this about? And her mom's like, yeah, I got it for you after the whole, after you got the...
After you got the regional writing, you made the final or the competition or whatever, as kind of a congratulations. And Mandy's like, oh, you just know me so well. I had carrot cake with the Washingtons, but I hate. And the mom's like, oh, but you hate carrot cake.
Yes.
And she's like, yeah,
and
it was miserable.
And then I went boing, and it's just like it's this great scene of Rachel knowing her daughter, and also like confronting Mandy a little bit about the stuff she's been keeping from her with the play and whatnot. And like being like, why don't we just talk? But then she also admits that she hasn't really been available.
Yes, and that's why I think it's so good. This scene in particular is that the parents are not talking down to the kids, and they're just trying to understand the way that each other are feeling better, because so much has gone unspoken up until this point. I mean, just even in regards to their separation and everything. I love how this scene shows the way that both families, her biological family and the Washingtons, have positive impacts on her life in unique and kind of irreplaceable ways. In the sense that, like, you are bound to your family by blood, and so therefore their support is always going to be the most important because they're just the closest to you, and at the end of the day, family and friends is really all you have. And friends is the second part of it, and you see that as well, where Mandy gets kind of adopted, and not even necessarily, I mean, the Washingtons adopt people, but gets taken in and kind of gets to shine in a different light and have different perspective. And it benefits both parties. It benefits the communication in the Washingtons, and it benefits Mandy because she's more able to appreciate her parents and the unique relationship she has with her mom. Yeah.
And then we go out on another lovely scene, which is them calling up the Washingtons and inviting them over to play Monopoly and have the ice cream cake.
Yeah, it's delightful. Yeah. It's so good. And he goes out on them talking about which piece they're going to play as. And Marvin makes a joke about ruining everybody's fun because you can't get in the pool as an iron, which like floored me. Like, this is dark, I think, maybe. But it was so funny. And
Mandy is always the top hat. Andrew, what's your Monopoly piece?
I typically play as the car or the battleship.
I'm the man on the horse.
Ooh. I also have been known when I play like on the app, because I love Monopoly. I play as the boot. I do like the boot.
Do you lick said boot?
Only if it's Das Boot.
Which is actually a submarine.
Anyway, great episode. What's the wiki rating on this bad boy? It better be higher than 80.
I think it is. Oh, it's 93.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Good.
I'd give it a 97.
The other thing I think, which is a rarity, so we don't usually talk about it, but I think Chris's call to action is really good.
Yes, 100%.
She pops in at the end to just be like, hey, like, if you are around people who are going through hard times, just like remember to like be there for them.
Yeah, exactly. And because the scripture verse is said within the episode and it has such, direct character relevance, I just think it drives home all the better.
Yes, agreed.
The point of just being there for other people and understanding that, like, I just appreciate that they address both sides of it. It's not operating under the assumption that Christians cannot experience this kind of suffering.
Yeah.
It's saying both parties, as Christians, like, Christ has a place in both situations.
Yeah.
Whether you're helping somebody or you are in a really rough place and you need somebody to help you.
Right. Right. And she says, and if you're in this sort of a situation or whatever, remember that even though things are changing, your parents' love for you is not.
Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
And feels good. And as much as, that may not be universally the case for everybody listening to it, I just think that it's really powerful to hear those words and to have those words said.
Yep.
And, like, yeah, to operate under the belief that there is so much love in this world, and if you're not experiencing it right now, it doesn't mean that you won't or that you can't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's a good episode.
It's a good one. We've said it before. We'll say it again. It's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this show.
Mm-hmm.
In
this era, this arc.
Yeah.
We've covered so much Odyssey that I don't feel incredibly passionate about, but this is just really good.
That's the thing. It's like we spent the fall, with a bunch of episodes that we didn't like, and it's so refreshing to be like, and here's what we do like.
Kathy Buchanan.
Mm-hmm.
Mandy Strasberg.
Yep. Two of the best. Anything else that you have to say here, Mr. Seo?
That's all my notes on the episode. Big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you want to
plug getting your booster. I know I don't know when this is coming out, but
doesn't matter.
I got my booster. You got your booster? Yeah, get your booster.
Boosted.
Or if you haven't gotten vaccinated, I would just encourage you to do so. Obviously, we've said that before on the show, but the boosters seem to be effective, and I got the booster after getting the base dose, and my reaction was much less than the first time. So
yeah,
if you did get the first one, I think that it's even easier to get the second one.
Yeah. All right. I'll echo that plug. And with all that being said, we will be back next week for episode 615, Only by His Grace. Bye, guys.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. The Family Next Door was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the WadFam Chalk Pod.